cross state lines with hillbillies and guns. It's been a hell of a ride and a whole lot of fun. They gave me many names down there in Dixie, but the main one that stuck on me was whiskey.
And welcome to another episode of the Bourbon and Ballistics Podcast, the show where we talk a little about whiskey, a little about firearms, and a whole lot of everything in between. I'm your host, Joel Potter, and invite you to sit back, relax, pour yourself a glass as we talk some bourbon and ballistics. Today's guest is the embodiment of both the trades and the true leadership. You know, one of the things that I think is so neat about you, you know, your own Battle Born Welding, you're a co-host on the Tradesman Experience podcast. Mm-hmm. And on top of that, you still find ways to go out and do other extracurricular activities that kind of characterize the things that you're learning as far as a leadership role. Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Nate Newton, how the hell are you?
Oh, dude. Long time no see, brother.
I know,
it's been
good.
A minute.
Yeah, thanks for stopping by, man.
Yeah, we got a lot of really good feedback from the episode you were on. I think people really like being able to take a break from the seriousness that we bring to what we do on the podcast a lot. So, like, just to get back and shoot the shit with you and talk about, you know, everything that we talked about that night. Like it's a good reprieve. People like to see that we're still human and, you know, yes, we do enjoy things and yes, we still are drunken tradesmen and all that fun shit. So, but I appreciate the compliments. I do take leadership very seriously. I think it's something that, the world needs more of more than ever, you know, with this internet era and everybody out for themselves. You know, I've started coaching high school football. I'm walking into my third season, coaching O-line and D-line. They actually made me defensive coordinator this year, which is weird.
Oh, wow.
Because I don't know what any of those Nancys in the backfield are doing. I like the guys up front. I like the dogs, man. That's my kind of guys.
Yeah.
You know? So
3 years already.
Yeah, 3 years. And I mean, I don't know how I juggle it all, but I do somehow. But I enjoy it. And honestly, that time that I spend out on the field working with the younger kids and guys that are a little more impressionable, it really adds to my leadership in the business. It's just kind of an eye-opener. It's adding some sort of diversity to what I'm doing. And and I enjoy the shit out of it, man. Watching who these kids are when they show up day one and then who they are when they leave. Like, it's such a cool thing to watch, you know.
It's awesome.
And, you know, like, we can all sit there and complain about how soft the next generation is and this and that. It's like, okay, well, go be a part of the fucking solution then, you know. Go get out on the field and be hard on those kids and be fair with them, but be hard on them. You know, hold them to a standard. And, dude, you'd be surprised how much kids want that. How much they want to be held to a standard. They want accountability in their life.
That's an interesting point. I definitely didn't want to delve into that a little bit too, because I think that's important that we discuss that part of your life, because seeing, I don't know, over just the 3 years over the 3 years that you've been doing it, I mean, have you seen? Well, here, hold on. Let's hold that thought real quick.
Okay.
Let's do this first, because I hate talking about this kind of stuff without a glass with anything in it.
Feel a little parched.
Yeah. So as you know, we do I try to find a bottle that I think that really embodies the guest and it kind of ties the show together. So for you, I picked, and I don't know, have you had this?
I have not.
The 5.9. It's
I think Troy tried to sell it to me one day, but I bought a bottle of Breckenridge anyway. So.
And that's kind of your go-to jam, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the 5.9 Kentucky Straight from Troll Clothing Company.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh.
So it's the blue collar whiskey,
Ah.
and so I figured who else better to try it with than you.
Fuck yeah.
So while we're getting this poured up, let me tell you a little bit about it. The mash bill is a 70% corn, 21% winter rye, and a 9% malted barley. It comes in at a 45% ABV and is distilled by Green River Distilling in Owensboro, Kentucky.
Sweet.
So I mean, looks like it's got some good color to it.
I'm so glad I took all Troy's classes because now I actually know how to taste these things properly.
I know, and it does make for a little bit better show if you're going to be talking about whiskey, if you know what you're talking about.
Right.
So I mean, on the eye, I mean, it's got a nice golden color to it, and
I dig it. Oh yeah.
Little cherry.
I wish I had I smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day for like 15 years. Like, taste it. Like, I think that's why I always like whiskey so much. It's such a bold flavor, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of got a rough, like a little bit of a rough cut to it too. Like a,
sounds like a blue collar kind of thing.
I think, and I think it's, you know, it's going to be a good. One. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
I can dig it.
Yeah.
Huh.
This is that was a lot better than
I
wasn't saying it was going to be shitty, but it's better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Even. I mean, it had more of a bite on the nose than it does on the palate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got a little bit of a linger to it, kind of stays with you, but it's definitely that's fantastic.
Yeah. Holy shit.
Yeah. So for those listening, it does have a nice, rich golden color. It looks almost, you know, you would think is a little light, but it really doesn't on the nose or the palate taste that way at all. So it's awesome.
Definitely a little peppery on the back of the palate too.
There you go, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Okay, so let's get before we get into football and all that stuff, let's learn a little bit more about how you got to this point in your life. I mean, before I met you, your story starts long before Battle Born Welding. Like, can you go ahead and lead me through your journey as in the welding industry?
Yeah. So I left high school. I started welding in high school. You know, took the classes every year. I didn't do that well in school. I'm a very visual learner. Like to be hands on. So I went through all those. I got roped into going to Wyotech. The biggest waste of $30,000 I've ever encountered. I think the Montana campus is a lot better, but I went to the West Sacramento one and there was a bunch of lawsuits involved. It was just like, they were just trying to make money. They weren't necessarily trying to provide the right people. So I went through that. And funny story, I'm working at TGI Fridays and at Chili's as I'm going through school. Okay. And I'd already graduated from Wyotech and just kind of trying to find purpose in life. And this dude's in the bar every night at Chili's in Folsom. Like, dude's fucking hammered, leaving every night. And just tattooed from neck to toes. And, you know, just like kind of a rough looking dude. I get to talking to him one night. And he's like, yeah, I'm a pipeline welder. We're out here for a job. And, I'm away from home. They're coming out of Temecula. And I was like, oh, yeah, I want to get into underwater welding. I just got done with school and all this. And he's like, dude, you don't want to get underwater. You need to get into pipeline. That's where the money's at. And I was like, okay. He's like, my boss is going to be coming in here next week. He's coming up. I'm going to bring him in here. I'm going to introduce you. You know, fuck, dude's drunk. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay. Yeah. Sure as shit, dude. Guy shows up. I meet him. The guy starts asking me, you know, like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I want to weld. Like, I want to do stuff with my hands. I want to build cool shit. He goes, all right, meet me at this place at this time. So I go meet him out there. Dude, so when I'm saying pipeline, most people think like, you know, 12 to 18 inch natural gas. No, they were working on an 84 inch water transmission line. Mm-hmm. So we go out there. He's like, hey, can you run a torch? I was like, yeah. So we start cutting sections of this pipe out, throw them in the back of his truck. Dry. He's like, all right, where you living at? Told him where I was living. Shows up to my house with all that steel in the back and a $10,000 diesel-driven welder. Drops it off in my garage. And he's like, I'm going to put you to work in 8 weeks. Figure it the fuck out.
No shit.
Yeah. So I just sat there and burned and just tried to figure out how to do it. And, by the end of those 8 weeks, he was like, all right, I think you're ready. Throws me out on a project by myself. I've never done this before, right? He's like, figure it out. And my first couple of joints were just trash, right? And this dude's paying me $38 an hour, which, mind you, this is like 2006. That's good money for a dude when you're 20. You're in your 20s. I started when I was 20. Yeah, and so fucked some stuff up along the way, which that's going to be a given. He was patient with me though, but dude, I picked it up quick. I've got severe ADHD, so I like repetitive things that I can master, especially like really skillful things. And I love it when people tell me that they're master welders. Ain't nobody's a master welder. No. I've been doing this for 20 years now, and nobody has mastered it. So, but yeah, I picked it up really quick, and dude, that career took me all over the place. Anything from Southern California, New York, DC, Oregon, Washington, and then I spent 2 years on one project in Vancouver, British Columbia.
Okay.
We were putting in 12-foot diameter pipe, about 6,000 feet underground. It was a tunnel job, so they used a big tunnel boring machine, cut straight through bedrock. So we're over a mile underground, putting in pipe, welding all this shit together. It's for a water treatment facility for the city of Vancouver. And then we get shipped up to go do a hydroelectric facility up in northern British Columbia. It was a drill and blast. It's an old 1950s hydroelectric plant that they were trying to revamp. And we were they were drill and blasting to the existing pipe, and we were bringing a new feed pipe in. I mean, some of the just coolest places to have a job at, and some of the most intricate, difficult work. Like we had to go down to Portland to go do a scale mock-up of how we were going to cut this pipe apart, bring the new saddle piece in, and then run all the new existing line to it. They probably spent $250,000 just on this mock-up.
Huh. But
I mean, there's big money involved in all this shit, right? It was for Rio Tinto Alcan, one of the largest aluminum producers in the world. So yeah, I got to do all that, and then we came back and we tunneled underneath the Hudson River. We tunneled underneath the Portman River in Vancouver. And just they called us the do not fuck around crew. Like we were the guys who called when it's got to get done. It's got to get done on time. We blow the doors off of every single deadline you gave us. We went and built a tunnel boring machine up in Washington, D.C. We built a 26-foot diameter cutting head for it. Things like 6 inches thick, 8 inches thick in some places. And it all came from Germany, so it had to be assembled. They've been using union labor to try and get it done. So whatever falls apart. And their backs are against the wall. So they call us in. They gave us 6 weeks to get the project done. We were done in 5 days.
No shit. Jeez.
Yeah.
That is not fucking
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So just a bunch of big swinging dicks showed up and got it done. And
Wow.
Yeah. And it was just it was such a cool job to have. I loved it. And then we were mainlining down in Fresno, and some administrative shit had changed and the money started going down. And I was stuck in Fresno. It's 115 degrees outside. We're mainlining, and then once the money started going away, it was well, what the fuck am I doing this for?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of businesses begin because somebody got pissed off at their boss one day, and they're like, I am gonna go do it on my own. Yeah. And so me and my best friend Matt, it was kind of funny because he called me as I was dialing his number. He called me and he's like, hey, dude, I think we need to do our own thing. And I'm like, I was calling you to say the same goddamn thing, dude. And I mean, we both had, $100,000 welding rigs. So for us to take off and just start doing shit on our own, it was pretty easy. So we started picking up clients doing heavy equipment repairs, small fencing jobs, shit like that. But it kept us busy. We knew nothing about owning a business. And then we started landing some serious work. You're talking $250,000 contracts, doing a bunch of this, the Tahoe, there's a bike path that goes around Tahoe. Mm-hmm. So we did a bunch of the Core 10 cable railing that's around all that stuff. But once your balls are on the chopping block and everything's your responsibility and you got to staff the thing and there's deadlines to meet, changes everything, man. Mm-hmm. Really does. And we took a lot of really rough business lessons right out of the gate. We got our asses handed to us on almost every job. And then I got introduced to Josh.
Okay.
And Josh comes in the shop one day. It's Matt's brother. So Matt was gone, and he just comes into the shop to just kind of see what's going on with it. And he's like, yeah, so what does your PO system look like? What is your, what are you guys doing about your AR and your AP? And I'm just standing there looking at him like, fucking what? And he goes, you don't have any of that in place, do you? I was like, no. And he just said, okay. And he just left. And I'm just standing in the shop going, God damn it, I have no idea what I'm doing. And then a good friend of mine, he's a local guy, Thomas Parachu. His dad was working with Tony Robbins. And he offered to bring us down for a 2-for-1 deal to go to Unleash the Power Within for a Tony Robbins event. I was like, yeah, whatever, fucking voodoo bullshit, completely changed my life.
Yeah.
100% changed my life. And that's when we came back, and Josh had gone with us, and we just started hammering down on it. And Josh had been on a leadership and self-improvement journey for probably 8 years prior to that. Mm-hmm. And it all kind of clicked for him at that event. And dude, we were just off to the races after that.
Yeah.
And so we hired Josh as a business coach, really straightened everything up. And dude, I'd bring Josh in probably once a year for leadership training, but that first year that he coached us was just massive. And then I was like, Josh, hey, what do you think about us starting a podcast? And he was like, well, I've got an idea for one that I think I'm going to do it on my own. I said, no, I'm jumping in.
You did.
I invited myself. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, the rest was history on that, and so we've been structural steel and ornamental iron contractors for the last 8 years. Do a lot of really big custom homes. That's kind of our bread and butter. We also do commercial, basically whatever anybody needs. Our big thing is like always take care of the community. We get some of these, little old ladies that, they buy a new house or something and they have a hard time getting up and down the steps. So we come out to the houses and build ADA grab rails to help them up and down the stairs. Dude, I mean, there's some of them that we just do it for free because it's like they need it. They can't afford what and that's the thing. I don't want to come in and just give somebody a discount and be like, oh, you're old here. Mm-hmm. Either we charge full price or we do it for free. Mm-hmm. And we've been successful enough that we've been fortunate enough to do those things for free and help those people out. And, that's like a fulfillment side of the business that I really enjoy that we get to do. But, that's the behind the scenes stuff. All the stuff all over Instagram, that's all of our big, custom home water, right on the water up at Glenbrook or, we got
up there a lot.
That we are. Yeah. Dude, and like
beautiful work too.
Dude, what a cool job for our guys. Mm-hmm. Like, dude, you get to hang out in the fucking woods all day, like building cool stuff. I mean, yeah, sometimes in the winter it sucks, but
right. Right. Now you talked about you're either charging full price or doing it for free. One of the things I've recently learned with business ownership is a lot of times you're trying to do like the old MC Hammer route, right? Where you're helping out everybody. You're trying to do, giving all your buddies discounts and all that stuff, and it ends up bankrupting you.
Yep.
Have you any experience on that, or any way to weigh in on how that works?
Yeah, I mean, I get people that do that shit to me all the time. Well, you're going to give me the homie hookup? Actually, dude, well, I'm running a business, and support your local businesses, dude. You want to pay more because I'm a local business and because we're friends, like, why would you not want to support my business? The answer's always no. That makes it a real easy decision for me right there. And I mean, here's the thing, like we're high caliber with everything we do. And so if you can't afford it, you can't fucking afford it, man.
Right.
It's not my job to go find your money, And I mean, if you want a bunch of stuff that's outside of your budget, that's not my responsibility to go figure that out for you.
And there was we just did the Whiskey Bonanza last weekend, for First Line Ballistics, and one of the guys had come up to me and he's like, "I'm just going to tell you, man, that price is ridiculous." And I was like, "If you can't afford it, you go buy the cheaper shit."
Yeah.
And I mean, have you seen? And I asked him, have you seen the price of steel lately? And I go on to tell him, when we started this company, and we launched in 2020. Here we are in 2025, and our prices have doubled. Well,
especially on AR 500. Yeah.
So it's easy for them to say that, but the idea is you're trying to, at that point, almost that dude's not worth my time, and I didn't want to dismiss the guy completely because that's just not my nature. But at the same time, what the fuck what are you doing here?
Yeah,
you're coming here and insulting me. It's like we're not getting rich. We're not even making a huge profit on these fucking things. Let alone you're just trying to keep the doors open and get the people. Like, we know that these things are badass, and this is what it costs to have a badass target. But it's tough. And like I said, I don't remember where I saw it, but they were talking about how your friends will come and ask for all these discounts and stuff. And at the end, if you're doing that, and we did try that in the beginning, and all it did was fuck us, And so it, like I said, I just, you probably see that.
Yeah. Well, and another end of it too is the bartering system where people want to barter about shit. And it's like, dude, you get fucked every time that you barter like that. It's like you trade work for work. I got like 2 or 3 guys that I'll do it with because I know who they are and I know that it works.
Yeah.
But, pretty much every time it ends up with somebody getting an edge. And trying to keep track of that. It's like, dude, how about you just pay me for my goods and services and I'll pay you for your goods and services,
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, especially with the stuff we do. I mean, we charge a high hourly rate, but we're doing high-end, big baller stuff. Like if you want cheap shit, go pay somebody else to do that.
Yeah.
Because we get people that try and do that on us all the time too. Well, can we change the design? Can we lessen it? Can we, can we sacrifice quality? And the answer is always no.
Mm-hmm.
Always no.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't going to just look bad on you. At the end of the day, that's your stamp.
Yeah, if it's my name on it,
yeah,
we're doing it the right way.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, not to say we are not perfect. I will not hang my hat on I'm not coming from a place of perfection. I'm coming from a place of realism. We fuck up, it's happened, but we will do everything it takes to make it right.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, we got great guys that work for us.
Let's talk about them a little bit because as the company owner, and the leader, how does that? I mean, how does the dynamic with a bunch of dudes out there with with their egos, not probably not a lot of times checked at the door as a new guy. How does that work for you?
So, leadership is single-handedly the hardest thing you'll ever do. Especially when I got 13 guys right now. So they're all different personalities. They're all different types of people. They all respond to shit differently. They all have their quirks. They all have things that motivate them. And dude, welders suck, man. They do. I can say that because I've been doing this for 20 fucking years. Welders have huge egos. Every welder you meet's the best welder that's ever existed, right? The cool part is I got really good at a lot of this, and I get to go out and flex on them every once in a while.
Yeah.
Show them that the old man does know some tricks, but it's trying to humble people when they need it, or just pointing out things that they did that humble them.
Mm-hmm.
And I try not to lead from a place of negativity. I'll call you out on your shit if something's fucked up, but I try to lead from a place of positivity. I try to focus on the things people are doing right. I try to focus on, if they laid a slick bead, if they blended something perfectly, if the fit up landed just the way it was supposed to, I feel like in the trades, especially, there's not a lot of attaboys that float around. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, you got a paycheck, so what do I need to give you a pat on the back for? Mm-hmm. But it's like, dude, if you nailed it, you nailed it, man. Mm-hmm. Like, and you want some recognition for that. And because I came up in the pipeline industry where I was by myself on pretty much every project. Mm-hmm. We were so good because we got paid piecework. So I got paid per joint. I didn't get paid to go back and fix anything. It was all on me, and I was by myself. Dude, I didn't get an attaboy for 10 years.
Yeah.
And so it was like, I didn't understand how much most people need that. Mm-hmm. And now that I own the business, there ain't nobody patting me on the back telling me I'm doing a good job,
Well, I hope you got, your customers, they know what when they call you for a bid, they know exactly who's stepping up to make the job happen.
Right, right.
But yeah, that's sometimes that is tough,
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, at the end of the day, dude, for me, it's like, right, are my people happy? Are my people fulfilled? Are we giving people opportunities to do more, to be better for their families? Like, is this extending beyond just what you're on the clock to do? Is this making you a better person with what we do? We do financial training with the guys because the shitty part about being a pipeliner when you're in your 20s is you're making $250,000 a year and it's ended up your nose or in some stripper's butt crack, Like there's a lifestyle that came along with it. When you're running 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, sleeping in the back of your truck on shutdowns and stuff like that. Like we worked insane hours. My longest shift was 38 hours straight. Wow. No breaks, no naps, no nothing. I stopped to eat a cheeseburger at one point.
Jesus.
But we were doing tie-ins for the Hetch system, pulling water from Yosemite to take it to San Francisco. And we were doing the Tesla treatment facility out in Tracy. We went to go tie into the existing lines. It was $2 million a day liquidating damages. Mm-hmm. So it has to get done.
Yeah.
Has to get done. And so we ran ourselves into the ground with that dude, but I loved being that dude, like the last motherfucker standing. Everybody else is tapping out. I'm like, dude, it's been like 12 hours. And I'm like, shit. I mean, I've probably worked 20 plus 24-hour shifts.
Really? Just
running around the clock and just hammering on it. And you just, at the end of the day, if it's got to be done, it's got to be done, right?
Yeah.
And you get to gloat a little bit at the end of that.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah. That's, I mean, years later, right? You're still like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty badass. Mm-hmm. What do you see, so coming from that lifestyle, transitioning over to business owner, I mean, did those have like that mindset take a while to break?
Yeah, a lot. Like the wild part is that most of us that own businesses in the trades, we got really good at the craft. We got really good at the skill of what it takes to do it. And that is completely different from what it takes to run a business. Running a business is understanding profits and losses. It's understanding leadership. It's understanding financing. It's understanding APs, ARs, like all this shit that'll just rot your brain out if you really think about it too much. But I think the hardest thing to get over is sacrificing a skill that you spent decade plus developing to go do something else. Because that sucks, dude. Like I'm a very talented welder, right? I'm not saying I'm the best. I'm saying I'm very talented. I can weld it all, but I had to sacrifice that to go into business ownership. And that one stings. And a lot of people, when they go into business in the trades, they have a really hard time detaching from that. They have a hard time stepping back and going, okay, what is it I actually need to be doing? They still want to be on the tools. They still want to be the biggest swinging dick in the yard, and it's something that's difficult to walk away from,
What do you think is one of the, like, looking back now, looking back at your former self, what would be one of the biggest lessons that you think you would be able to try to get across looking back at that?
Dude, not a single one, man.
Good?
I had to get hit in the mouth.
Yeah.
I had to get hit in the face. I'm just too stupid to figure it out when somebody tries to tell me something. I'm stubborn as hell, and I could have talked to myself till I was, blue in the face, and I wouldn't have heard a word of it, I'm a little bit better about it these days, just because I've had my ass beat so many times, And then, especially in business ownership, man, in the trades, like it's just such a wild industry to be in. And, we're to the size now where it's like lawyers have to get involved with just about every goddamn contract that we have. And, people not paying or, I need contract review or something like that. Cause dude, as a, high school educated pipeline welder, I don't know how to read a goddamn contract in its entirety. You know, it's a bunch of gobbledygook to me. So it's, yeah. I think that's just a curse of the trades. Yeah. Is that we have to get kicked in the mouth in order to learn anything. This is why our parents beat us.
Right. What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions of people in the trades? Speaking of that.
Oh, that we're stupid.
Yeah.
That's a big one, man. If you knew how much it takes to become high caliber and high quality at the trade that you are in, dude, I mean, we put way more time in than doctors do. We put a lot into this, and it's an ever evolving career. Yeah, I had an aunt that told me I wasted a brilliant mind on becoming a welder. So I went outside and I turned her water off. You're like, well, I'm so stupid. You can figure out how to turn it back on, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because you say, coming into it now being the business owner and reviewing contracts, right? In my job, I write the contracts, and not knowing how to write an airtight contract, one of my last projects, I missed a lot, and the contractor knew exactly what they were doing coming into bid time.
Yep.
And just change ordered the fuck out of me the entire job, about a third of the total contract cost in change orders. Mud on my face, and it sucked, but it really was a great lesson, and then still, like, they're great guys. Just, I mean, the analogy is that, these guys they're pirates, right? They know their job really well, and their job is just to go do the work and get the money, and and that's just what they do, right?
Well, I mean, especially in the public works realm, it's a race to the bottom, right? The ongoing jokes in public works is, congratulations, you're the lowest bidder. Bad news is you're the lowest bidder. Like, what'd you miss?
Right.
But that's what I hate about this stuff. On the custom home side, I'm able to be very transparent with my clients. Like, hey, this is why we're charging this much. You have this that's missing out of your plan sets. We know we're going to need to address that. I try to set them up for no change orders.
That's nice.
That's what I want.
Very nice of you.
But there are dudes like, there's a boat up in Lake Tahoe that is named Change Order. You know, that's a big fucking boat too. So like, but, and that's the thing. It's being a contractor isn't about actually getting the work done. It's finding out how to get more money out of the contract. And I don't like that game. I mean, we do public works. We don't do a ton of like big stuff, but the cool part about public works is if the economy falls out, it's still available. It's still there. But I mean, we just got done with a project at Northern Nevada Correctional Center, the prison. I will never work with the state of Nevada ever again. Those guys are insufferable. And I had 5 tiers of inspection to go through, and all of them wanted to justify their existence, and all of them wanted something different. And, you know, throwing different bullshit codes and bullshit specs and all this other stuff. And I'm like,
I don't blame you. I mean, the contractor that was on this job with me, and it was not necessarily I mean, when I knew I was like, okay, fine, let's make it happen, right? But the amount of shit that they had to go through, like, you know, it almost like we could have had a really beautiful relationship, right? And I was like, I love working with these guys. However, they fucking hated working with the organization. And so
they're going to take every red cent they possibly can.
And absolutely had it. And I don't ever think, you know, for the most part that they'll be dealing with me ever again after this one. You know? You know, and I mean, hopefully so, because they were, like I said, they were a great company to work with, and it's unfortunate things went the way they did. Had I spent a little bit more time learning contract, you know, contract language and all that, I mean, we could have probably negated some of those change orders,
right?
But they would have found some stuff anyways.
Yeah, and they always do. There's no such thing as an airtight contract,
right?
You know, there's no such thing. So, and it's all about much, and that's what I think what people need to understand when you go into business, especially if you're going into business in the trades. Every goddamn dollar is a fight. Every dollar is a fight. So, and what you have to do, especially like if you're in the custom side of things, whether that's cars, homes, one-off products, stuff like that, you have to make yourself undeniable. Yeah. You have to be good enough and walk with a big enough stick that it's like, this is what I need from you. And dude, I don't negotiate much. It's pretty rare that I negotiate.
Price is the price.
Price is the price. And when you start bending that knee, again, it's a race to the bottom for everybody, right? If you give them an inch, they take a mile. And it's like, okay, well, this is what it costs for me to do it. If you need it cheaper, here's what we can remove.
Right. Yeah.
Here's what we can remove from your scope of work, right? And so there's ways to do it, but I mean, I've lost so much money in this industry. Yeah. You know, money that was owed to me, and then just the contract worked the way the contract worked, or, you know, I love all the finger pointing that happens. You know, it's everybody just trying to cover their own asses. Oh yeah. You got to have thick skin, you know, and try not to take things personally. There's been a couple of times where I've taken some shit personally and it doesn't ever pan out, you know. Yeah. But I hate that saying, business is business. Some people are operating on real shisty business practices, and that's not business, that's extortion, you know? Yep. And so I come to find that most people that hide behind that saying, they're extorting somebody. Yeah.
So where do you see, I mean, and to speak to that, so you guys are creating this name for yourself and doing, you know, this high caliber work, right? The area is growing, and there is, I mean, I was just next to another welding truck today. I mean, are you starting to see other guys coming in here and doing the job? I mean, shit work, doing it for way cheaper, underbidding you by a shit ton, and then making a bad name for welders.
Yeah, I mean, shit, we did it when we started. Yeah. We were rig welding at $75 an hour. We charge $140 now, you know? So yeah, we came in and did the same thing. Yeah, we see guys kind of pop up and come in, and they don't typically last that long. There's a lot to it, especially, you know, custom fabrication type stuff. Like, they don't realize what they're getting themselves into, and just the money doesn't work, and they don't know how to lead anybody. So they figure they just hire people, throw warm bodies at it, and it'll work. Not really. And dude, I try to coach up some of these new guys too. Like, when I find out somebody new's coming into town, if I start seeing a truck with different logos on it, I always go try and introduce myself. Because here's the thing. I don't want to race you to the bottom. You don't want to race me to the bottom. If we understand each other and understand what the job is, maybe we can stop cutting each other's fucking throats and try and elevate each other.
it's a noble philosophy. You know, I mean, just to, to think that hey, we all are on this.
I don't have any competition.
Yeah.
I have no competition.
Right.
You're just kind of in the way.
Right.
So,
Yeah. It's a good way to think of it. I think there's a lot of people that I mean, I wish they would take that kind of avenue, and
but it's scary going into business for yourself, like it's terrifying. And probably every penny that you have is dumped into this thing. And so, you're trying to safeguard it. And it's going to be hard for you to trust the guy that's well established and been here for 10 years because you might think that he's trying to run you to the bottom or he's trying to fuck up your operation or whatever. Do people like that exist? Absolutely. But take all the information in and make smart decisions past that.
There's with those new people coming into town, I think it's interesting because we're also having a lot of the youth and the trades is what I wanted to kind of segue into because as you guys get better, you guys get bigger, you guys are looking for guys. There's and one of your guys' episodes and I don't remember which one it was, but you were talking about going in and to the high school and looking into like some sort of a partnership or like a
program or something.
Yeah, program. Yeah. Has there been any traction on anything like that from you guys?
Not really. The high school has turned over the welding program teacher like every year for the last 3 years. So Josh and I went in and talked to one of the classes. Once the kids find out, like the kids in the football program find out that Coach Newton owns Battle Born Welding.
Yeah.
It usually takes halfway through the season. I try to keep it under wraps, but I mean we've brought in a lot of greenhorns. We've trained a lot of people. I can teach a nutless chimp how to weld, so, but it's one of those things that I got to find people with the right attitude. I got to find people with gusto. Typically somebody that comes from a rough single parent household has been beat enough, just that most of these kids are too fucking soft for it, man. And because that's the thing, like, I want to get out in the field and make money. Be like, all right, we're working 18s. Well, when am I going to see my girlfriend in this time? Like, hey, you said you want to make money. Let's go make money. This is what it takes. I'm willing to pay you all the overtime,
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want the money, but they don't want to put in the effort to get
exactly.
it. Exactly.
I mean, we've had some really good kids. We've had some really good, there at one point, I think like 90% of our workforce was 25 years old. That bit us in the ass. We had a full-fledged mutiny on our hands. We lost everybody when we were slammed and had to completely rebuild the team. It was like, it put us on our heels so hard. But what we've come to realize is that you need diversity in those groups. We need people of different ethnic backgrounds. We need people from different monetary structures. We need people on different skill levels. We need people of different ages, and we don't have a ton of diversity here in Gardnerville, Nevada, but we try, and that's one of the cool things that like where we're at right now, the younger guys can show the older guys kind of how to use the technology and the older guys can show the younger guys the tried and true methods to get things done. And we hold workshops and stuff where we come in and we teach people how to set elevation, how to lay out stairs, how to blend corners for railings and stuff like that. Like we're constantly trying to improve their skills. We're giving them the tools to do better for themselves. Shit, we even do financial training. Like, hey, this is what a budget looks like. You need 75% going towards your monthly living expenses. You need 15% going towards savings until you have 6 months operating expense put back, and the other 10% needs to go into Here are the people you need to go talk to for investments.
Are they receptive to that?
Some of them.
Yeah.
The really young guys and the really old guys don't. Like,
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So everybody in the middle is much more receptive to it.
And so in getting into that, you guys are essentially with your team, coaching them up and making sure that they're the best that they can be. That translates into your job over at the high school with the football team. It sounds like it's kind of the same thing. These kids have talent. They're maybe wasting some talent. I mean, how does that work for you?
I mean, a big thing for me is, especially at the JV level, these kids are like mid-stride in puberty, right? A big thing for me that I really drill into the kids, I'm like, you can overcome a lot of shitty talent by just sheer hard work and physical violence. That can take you a long way in this sport, you know. But it's a good place to preach camaraderie and teamwork and like having your brother's back, you know. And I think that especially this younger generation coming up that were raised on screens, you know, like their sense of camaraderie is very diluted, you know. I mean, I've had near-death experiences with my best friend Matt. Like we've been through some shit together where we were on the verge of death. We've been through some stuff where we're dog tired going through it, and like you're there to pick them up and move them forward and be like, one more step, dude, come on, let's go. And just like having dudes there to push you to do better things, and like that's what I really try and instill with those kids is like the camaraderie aspect of it, how to push each other, how to not allow each other to give up.
When you come in the beginning of the season, and then now that you've done this for 3 years, you start first practice of the year, right? Towards the end of the season, last game. And do you see like this? Do you see that kind of like, remember the Titans type thing? You know, I imagine, you know, do you see that?
Because there's a lot of kids that the JV's their first year they've ever played football. And, there's some dorks and there's some studs and then there's some geeks. And then, like there's a mixing bag of high school genres that are involved there, right? But yeah, I think what's cooler than seeing them at the end of the season is watching them going into their first varsity season. Yeah. Because they've had this whole off season, and who did what with that time? Dude, some of these kids are just fucking jacked. Like they've been in the weight room, and they got Adam's apples now. Their voices aren't cracking anymore. Like they're men, And that's a big thing. Like I'm not here to win football games. I'm here to build men. Yeah. Because that's what the program did for me. Like I loved the program. I'm not here to be, if we're a championship team, that's a byproduct of good coaching. Good coaches make good men. And that's what I'm looking to do. That's cool. Like I said, I don't want to bitch about the next generation being a bunch of fucking pussies. I want to go out and be a part of the solution. Like, get out there, get hands on with this stuff. I mean, that's this thing that I hate about like charity. Like you get all these assholes in a room that they're all spending money on whatever cause that probably gets embezzled anyway. Okay. Yeah, okay. We'll tap into this one next.
Want to go into that next? Yeah. Okay.
But you get this like boost to yourself that I did something good because I spent the money. Yeah. Dude, go be hands on. Go do something. You got a vet down at the end of the street is struggling. Go help that dude out. You got a single mother that that you work with that's having a hard time getting her kids from place to place. Dude, do that. Yeah. Go help out with that. You throwing money at the Breast Cancer Foundation doesn't do shit other than fluff your ego. And I'm not saying don't fund things. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying if we spent a little more time as a community helping each other out instead of depending upon programs and, these quote unquote foundations that are essentially just stealing your money and not doing shit with it. Dude, you're going to feel a lot better about it. Yeah. And you actually get to see what that time and effort does.
Part of the process. Yeah. So that's fantastic.
But yeah, I do want to tap into this. Tell
me a little bit about what you brought.
So I had the very fortunate pleasure of going to the Breckenridge Distillery up in Breckenridge, Colorado. Okay. I did the tour, and I want to give a huge shout out. This guy named Lucas was our tour guide. Lucas is like 24, 25 years old. To see the passion he has for the distilling process and knowing exactly why things taste the way they do and how they come out, like he enjoys the science and he's dedicated to the craft of distilling whiskey. And I think it's so fucking cool to see that. But at the distillery was amazing. The crew there was just absolutely wonderful. I can't say enough high praises. And it's not just because I'm biased because I love Breckenridge.
You do love Breckenridge.
Yeah. But Breckenridge is my go-to. So this is Breckenridge's the Powder Hound. I don't have all the fun technical shit that you do.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah. But one of the cool parts about Breckenridge is that, especially being at 10,000 feet, you get fucking hammered while you're there, for one. But for two, the fluctuations in the temperature cause the barrels to swell and contract. That really pull the whiskey into the oak and push it back out. So you get a lot of passage to it. So a 10-year bottle for Breckenridge, you're getting about 20% yield of what you put into it. So there's a lot of loss there, but that equals a lot of flavor
Good
at the end
juice,
of it.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we're gonna take a crack at this one here.
Well, thanks for bringing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you hit me up to come on the podcast. I'm like, well, this is perfect timing. You know.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So it's called I'm sorry, what was it? The Powder
Powder
Hound. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, I tasted every spirit that they had available to try. Mm-hmm. So that was like a lot of different vodkas, all the whiskeys. I tried all the whiskeys. They had a gin also. Tried that, but they had a bunch of infused ones as well.
Oh shit.
So yeah, I was a little tuned up.
I was gonna say anything you didn't like. That you didn't like as much.
Yeah, I'm not a huge gin fan, but the old lady is. That gin was actually pretty good. It wasn't very juniper heavy.
Okay.
Which that's the part I don't like about gin. I don't like to taste like I'm drinking a plant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that none of it was bad. There was one that was like a chili infused vodka that I could see where it would work, but if you drink it by yourself, it just wasn't great.
Yeah.
But for Bloody Marys, dude, I would in a heartbeat.
Yeah,
you know?
that's exactly where those come into play.
Yeah,
Sure, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, sláinte.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Oh shit, the nose on that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's so light across the palate. Like there's no bite at any point, but it's still like almost aromatically has a spiciness to it in your mouth.
Almost get like a jelly bean or I mean it smells really good.
It does.
That is good. Jelly beans never been in a descriptor, I don't think, of whiskey, so
It is now.
I know. Maybe it's jelly beans. Maybe I'm at the Jelly Belly factory. I don't know, you know what I mean? That's really good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm glad I got to share this with you because other than Josh, who doesn't live here anymore,
I know. What the fuck?
nobody is able to enjoy that bottle with me.
So you're Breckenridge. There's somebody likes Wyoming, right?
I like Wyoming. Yeah, that's my second.
What
Wyoming.
What does he usually drink?
I think it was Three Fingers. It's a Canadian whiskey. That was his number 2.
Okay.
Which we haven't seen that in a long time. Troy turned us onto that one. Because I did a Facebook Live with him during the COVID thing. Him and I sat down and tried some stuff. And I brought some to Josh, the Three Fingers, and he fucking loved it. But we haven't seen it in forever, so I don't know. Now that we're in a trade war, that's probably not helping us very much, you know. So.
The Canadians, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny because I didn't get to delve into that very deeply, but the way that I actually met you guys was through Troy.
Oh, yeah.
Battle Born Welding, or Battle Born Welding, Battle Born
Wine,
wine and whiskey, yeah. And he had talked about your guys' podcast, and because I went in there soliciting him to come on mine, and then he's like, "Hey, you gotta go check out the Tradesman Experience," and I was like, "All right." So now basically you guys have 5 years of whatever, I don't know, it's a lot of freaking content, and I've been like getting through them. I think I'm like to 2022 or something like that now, but it's like I'll try to crash out a couple episodes a week.
I'll go back and listen to some of our old shit, and it just makes me cringe.
You know what's so like you said that when I came on your show, and like so far, I mean, I've had way worse shows, and like I'm like you guys have done great, and I think Josh is definitely a testament to his research and dedication.
Well, dude, and his ringleader capability with the whole thing, like, dude, because I mean we both went through a real dark time at the same time, and I don't know how we put out an episode every week,
right?
There's plenty of times we were essentially just drunk complaining about life, which I fucking hate, right? Like I can't stand that, and like. To look back on it, you're like, okay, like we had a low point, and here's the kind of the cool thing about it. I get to put all my shit on display, but it holds me accountable.
Sure.
Be
better.
You can talk all the shit you want, but it's like, dude, we all go through, especially being a business owner, we all go through fucked up shit, know, and it never works out the way you think it is. And I think Alex Hormozy says it best. He goes, the shitty part about going into business is it's going to be so hard. And then you find out it's 10 times harder than that.
So much harder than you thought.
Yeah.
It's funny, going back to what you guys go through a bunch of shit, right? And so knowing that going into starting from the beginning, it's like you kind of get this like it wasn't foreshadowing by any means, but you go, at some point I know there's this cliff, that you guys end up going through a bunch of shit, but you guys have this really tight buddy system where it's like you guys still didn't really broadcast the shittiness that you're going through. Like, it doesn't really come off that way on the show. So, you could definitely, there's a few where I'm like, this is the ones they were talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, they're pretty noticeable.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. And then, like I said, that's like every one of these. And that, like, before we started the show, I was talking about trying to wrangle this in and try to make it a little bit more professional. And
I think you do a great job with it, man. And I think that, especially with, like, your questions are great. And I think that you have something that you can really hone in and not make it niche, like I think that's one of those things that's helped us along the way. It's consumable for everybody. It's not just, yes, it does revolve around the trades, but dude, I mean, we get people that are nurses, we get people that are,
it's
dental
so
hygienists.
relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, even in my job, I'm like, dude, all this applies to me, and I'm not in the trades,
Right.
really. So yeah, you're 100% correct. It is, you can apply that to your personal life, all this stuff. I mean, just find a way to adapt it to your own well-being.
Well, dude, and one of the wild things is like, we've gotten one or two messages of somebody like, hey, I was about to start a 12 gauge and I found your guys' show and it's given me a new revamp on life. And it's like, look, we really appreciate that, but you were looking for anything at that point, and I'm glad we could be the ones to do it for you.
Right.
But I mean, good for you, man, for not succumbing to it. And that's one of those things that like kind of leaves you awake at night sometimes when, like another person walks this earth because they got something out of it, that, I mean, I'd rather have all my success stories from people that listen to the podcast just be millionaires. But if it's you not fucking suck starting a 12 gauge, that's a good day too.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome. I think that there's, since COVID, there was such a big boom in podcasts, and there's a billion whiskey bourbon ones, and there's not necessarily anything that sets mine apart. It's not necessarily my story to tell, but what it does do, where it gets really cool, is I have not had a guest come on this show that I wasn't like, that was fucking awesome.
Right.
Like there's so many, like everybody's got this really cool story.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really neat opportunity, just if you get somebody to sit behind the microphone and just kind of just, especially after you listen to them after a drink or two, right?
Yeah.
It's like everything just kind of comes and you're like, man, fuck, that was cool.
Dude, I know quite a few people that you've had on here too. And like, I know the caliber of people they are, like Patriot Beard, like Troy McDuffie, like I ride motorcycles with most of these guys and stuff. And so it's like, when you bring them in, you're there to bring the whiskey to their story. Right. And that's I appreciate that about it. I mean, it's a fun listen, there's a lot of time, dude, some of these fucking podcasts have just gotten out of goddamn control. They're either just so over the top with just obnoxious shit, or they're just so humdrum, and it's the same goddamn story you've heard over and over again, especially in the personal development world. I listen to like Ed Milet, Andy Frisella, Tony Robbins, stuff like that. It's like, dude, get off your goddamn high horse at some point, man. Like, it's just, I can only take so much of it to the point where I start rejecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but I've been doing a lot of books on tape and stuff like that.
And you do a lot of reading. I mean, like that's one of the things you do. Well, we'll talk about a couple of things that you do a lot of. So you read a lot of books. I mean, you are trying to like train your mind. Like you have a good mindset to where you actually are trying to be better at, being yourself, right?
Trying to. Yeah. I fuck up a lot though.
It happens. You just got done with 75 hard.
I didn't make it all the way through.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I think I made it like 48 days or something. But I don't really take it that hard just because I have completed it before.
How many times have you done it?
That was my second run at it.
Oh, okay.
But like, I ended up I had a coaching clinic in Minnesota to go to. There was a bunch of internal stuff that happened with the business. And I mean, excuse, right? There just wasn't, it wasn't going to pan out. So, and that is kind of the point of 75 hard. It's like, okay, well, figure it out anyway,
Yeah.
And it wasn't in the cards for me this time around. But dude, I love doing it though. Like the discipline that comes with it. Cause my girlfriend, I remember we were sitting on the couch and I'm thinking like 10 days in or something. I started getting on my gear to go do my outdoor workout. She goes, where the fuck are you going? I'm like, I'm going to do my outdoor workout. She's like, it's snowing sideways. I go, yeah. She goes, well, I mean, why don't you just do it tomorrow? I'm like, that's not how this works.
Yeah.
But, you know, even when I did fail, she was just like, you know, it was really cool to watch the discipline. You know, because at the end of the day, it ain't talent. It ain't perfection. It ain't how you look. It ain't how you feel. Discipline is what wins wars. And I have a roller coaster with discipline, you know, and when I start feeling myself slip, I try to wrangle myself in, but being a high performer, my sounding board is perfection, which isn't a good thing to do, you know?
Right.
So it's hard to have grace with myself sometimes.
What is some of the constraints for 75 hard? What does it do?
Yeah, so it's 2 workouts a day, 45 minutes each. One has to be outdoors. So I would ruck 2.5 miles with a 30-pound vest. You have to stick to a diet, and it doesn't matter which one. Just stick to one. Drink a gallon of water a day. Read 10 pages of a nonfiction book, and then a progress picture. That's what got me.
Yeah, that's what I was
going
to say. That's what it was.
She's like, that one was a shot in the nuts. I was like, God fucking damn it, dude.
People are so good at taking pictures of themselves. And
And I'm not. Like, I'm just not that kind of guy.
Oh, that's funny.
Dude, I mean, if it wasn't for the girlfriends and ex-wives and all that shit throughout my life, I wouldn't have any pictures of myself, you know?
Yeah, I think that's one of the... I was just sorting the hard drive with all my family pictures and stuff. And I'm like, you know, if I didn't have kids, we would have 0 pictures. You know?
Right.
It is interesting how that's changed.
But I mean, I like living in the moment, you know?
And that's one of the coolest things you do see people at concerts or do these live events or whatever. They're actually just sitting there looking, not through the screen.
Yeah. They're actually watching the show that they paid all this money.
Remembering that. You know?
Yeah.
And most of the stuff that we're looking back at, I'm like, I don't really need this. It's never, ever going to come back into play ever. You know, pictures of whatever the thing was.
Yeah.
So yeah, the hard drive was like halfway full and now it's like not full at all. You know,
Right,
I don't need a picture of me eating whatever, you know.
Well, dude, and like people taking videos of like fireworks displays on 4th of July. It's like, nobody gives a fuck. You don't give a fuck. You won't go back and watch it.
Never going to watch it again.
Yeah. But in the moment, it seemed like that's what you needed to do. So
just sit there and that's the thing is just take that moment in and enjoy it. You know.
Well, we've gone and seen some like, you know, big name concerts like Tyler Childers and stuff like that, where it's like I took 1 or 2 videos, you know, just be like, okay, for the social media post, and then just put the phone down afterwards. Especially when like my favorite song comes on.
Right.
The last thing I'm going to do is stand there and watch it through a goddamn screen. Right. You know, like I want to see it in person. But
that's hard to do.
It
sometimes.
is.
But yeah, that's fantastic that you can.
Yeah, I don't. If we paid the kind of money we paid for those things, you know, most of it's all destination stuff. The old lady and I like to travel a lot, so. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have kids. You know, we're semi-successful in business, so all right, well, what are you going to do with the money?
You guys are doing it.
Travel.
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. It looks like it's been fun.
It has been. Yeah, we just got back from Denver. We went up to Denver just to go to Breckenridge.
That's so cool.
It was for my birthday, so. She's like, where do you want to go? I'm like, I really want to go to that distillery because Josh went, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm fucking going.
Yeah, you must. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's back in Illinois.
Yep.
Yeah, doing his thing. It looks like it's going pretty well for him.
Yeah, he's got a great thing going with Katie, and you know, high power to him, dude. And they're doing some business acquisitions right now. Him and Giroux are getting pretty heavily involved with each other, and they're doing good things. So it's cool to see it finally starting to come together. You know, we both got wiped out in divorces, and that crawl out of that hole was pretty brutal for both of us. So, like, I'm stoked to see his feet back underneath him, and you know.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, he's doing good things, man.
Let's talk about because we didn't really do a lot of it, but so the podcast, you'd said it in the beginning of the show that Josh came in and basically just said, you know, we're going to almost dismantle your mindset on how to be a leader, how to run this business.
Yeah.
So for those, and I really hope that after this, you know, after you being on the show, that everybody will go check that out. Because like I said, I mean, I started watching the show right after I talked to Troy, and I've been, you know, like I said, trying to get through, you know, sometimes I get through like, you know, 5 episodes a week. I mean, it is easy to listen to, and there's a lot to be gained from it. What do you, as a business owner, feel like is the biggest thing that you've learned by being a podcast host?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely accountability. If you're going to put it out in the ether, you better own the fuck up.
Yeah.
you know? And I mean, that's one of those things that I really enjoy about the podcast is that it's almost like just documentation of my journey. You know, Josh was the idea guy with, you know, like, what are we going to talk about this week? And I'm the relatable guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm the guy going through the shit, eating the shit sandwiches every day and, you know, getting my ass kicked left and right. And, you know, not to say that doesn't happen with Josh, but, you know, I'm pretty good at throwing myself under the bus with stuff. So,
Right.
but I was the relatable side of it. And all of my leadership is required to listen to the podcast every week, regardless of whether I'm on or not.
Oh.
Because I'm only on about twice a month now.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I own the business outright, my plate's a little more full.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I'm glad I get to be that kind of glue for people, you know, and I get to put my fuck ups on display. And dude, I ain't afraid to fuck up, you know, and that's I tell my guys all the time, like, hey, I have failed more times than you've tried, right? So just understand that. Like, I don't punish people for that.
There's almost a plague of people not being able to take ownership in their mistakes.
It's fucking social media, man.
You know, and I think that's one of the hardest. Like, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse, but you know, when I do make a mistake, it's so easy for me to go, dude, I fucked up.
Yeah.
You know, how can we fix it now? Let's start working on resolve.
Because
right?
now we're solutions based.
Yeah, now we're solutions
instead
based.
of causation based.
And that's, I think, so difficult. So do you see that a lot, like when you're with your newer guys? Are you having to kind of fix that with them?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them they don't want to admit that they fucked up, and it's like, hey, dude, you can't get better if you don't know why you fucked up. You have to admit that you fucked up first. And I'm pretty. I mean, I've been told I'm a bit intimidating, so
What?
I'm able to walk through people's bullshit pretty quick. Like you start lying to me, like I know, and I'd shut you down real fast. So a lot of it's navigating ego, especially with the younger guys. And, I mean, I was young, dumb, and full of cum at one point too. You know, like I know what it's like, and I ain't stupid, so. At least I don't think I am most of the time. But
No, I don't think you are either.
Yeah, but you know, learning how to hold people accountable when they're doing their best to not be held accountable, and the amount of respect you gain from those people when you don't succumb to their bullshit and you hold them accountable to stuff, dude. I mean, I'll tell you right now. You want to talk about the easy way out? The easy way out is doing it the right way. Because if you let people bullshit their way through stuff, all you're doing is facilitating bad behavior, and you're going to chase it around the entire time they're there. And chances are you're going to ruin somebody that had potential, and you turn them in kind of a shit stain. So holding the line is so critical when it comes to this.
To doing things right the first time, I think that one of the, and I don't know where I picked this up, probably from you guys, but you know, you look at the value of doing it right the first time, right? That hourly rate to have this guy do it the first time. I think it was you guys that talked about it, but then having to come back and redo it, it almost like triples.
It triples,
right?
Yeah.
So that, I mean, that is one of the, taking that extra beat just to go, how do I make this thing work? And if, you know, having somebody in the driver's seat to go, here's how you make it work, instead of just, you know, I don't know, you would know better than I do, but like with your guys, I think it's trying to figure out how to get them to take the second and not just make that rash decision.
Yeah, so we have this process called Walk Me Through Your Plan. We got this from Josh.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yeah, and dude, it's such a game changer. Like, you have a task for a guy to do. You're like, hey, I need this railing built. You should tell me how you're going to do this. Oh, I'm going to build the rail. No. Walk me through your plan on how you're going to do this. And you get to eliminate probably 75% of the issues right then and there. Because now they're thinking about it. Because a lot, especially in the trades, our big thing is like, let's just go to work. Well, if we think about what we're going to do before we go do it, you got a much higher chance of success.
Isn't that weird, right?
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, a lot of us came up just getting yelled at, wrenches thrown at us, and, you know, like, just do what I fucking told you. You know, and then you get put in, you know, bad, dangerous situations and stuff like that. And so, like, and that's one of those things I'm trying to steer away from. I think the podcast in itself is trying to steer away from, of being these wrench throwing, knuckle dragging assholes that most of us have been to prison. Like, it takes a lot of intelligence to do the work that we do. I mean, fabrication, dude, the amount of math you got to do, the amount of foresight you have to have. Like, it takes a lot of brain power to fabricate. And people, they if you're not like involved in the trades and not seeing it every day, you have zero idea what it takes to keep modern society. The entire infrastructure that is impossible to begin with, isn't a Jordan Peterson quote. But if it wasn't for the men and women out there maintaining this infrastructure, that people don't understand what it takes for you to go into your kitchen and you go flip on a light switch and then you turn your sink on. If you knew how many tens of billions of dollars that it took to make those two things happen inside of your home, it would blow your fucking mind.
Right. There was, with the last project that I had, there's a group of probably 40 people coming back from this office that I had remodeled for them. And the work that went into it, they come in and are like, it looks fine. I don't really like the paint color. And I'm like, fuck you. Fuck you and your paint color, man. The thing is, they were not there. They did not see all the bullshit that I went through, the yelling, the screaming, the back and forth and all that. So you're 100% correct. Yeah. They will never, ever understand that. And I think that that's one of the biggest things is with the podcast, it really does kind of humanize what you guys do. Watching somebody that's really good at their job, I think is one of the most gratifying things ever. Watching, a plumber or a welder, doesn't matter what trade it is, right? I was a framer for a few years, and same thing, throwing hammers when they get upset. It was like the scariest thing I've ever been a part of, But it was almost one of the demotivating jobs I've ever had. Just getting screamed at the whole fucking time about doing it wrong. It was because you have bosses that don't know how to be leaders. And I think that's a major part of what I'm learning from you guys as you guys go along through this journey.
Bosses and leaders are very different things.
Yes, sir.
A lot of these organizations are run by bosses, and and it's the unfortunate side, like we were talking about earlier, like the guys that are coming out of the industry to start their own jobs, they want to be the boss. It's like, you have no idea how much it sucks to be the boss. You see like a nice car or something, and you're like, well, this guy's making all the money, dude. Yeah, until you're laying in bed staring at the ceiling at 5 a.m. wondering how you're going to make payroll this week. Like, once it's all on you, and you go 10 years without getting nice, flashy shit, like you got to put that work in. There's no get rich quick with this shit, like you put the work in and you're going to lose a bunch of money, and you're going to have to do the amount of guys I know that have had to take liens out against their homes, like, just to keep it afloat for another month, and they put everything into it. Some guys don't even make it out of that.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it's easy for you, the dude on the tools, to be like, oh, it must be nice. I hate that phrase. Must be nice. Like, I'll strangle your ass over that.
That is the worst. Huh? Yeah. It is, to your point, I think as a small business owner, it's interesting to watch you and your company blossom, grow into this thing that you guys have become. Watching I just saw your reel from the stairs that you were doing up there. Absolutely beautiful. But to think about how far you've come in the time that you've had to get there, it's neat to see. And like I said, listening in to watch you guys, on separate planes do this thing. It's cool to see.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I really do. And I'm so grateful that there are people willing to pay me to do what I do. So, but yeah, just like the custom home stuff, we get to be so creative with it. And we started this business in a 2-car garage in the ranchos.
Yeah.
And we were just doing dinky little, small trailer repairs, or we were going out in the field and doing heavy equipment repairs. And then we slowly worked our way into some like ADA compliant railings and just like stupid shit like that. But then we found like our quality standards were so high that once we hit the custom home market, it was like, oh yeah, this is where we belong.
This is the baby, yeah.
This is where we belong. And, I see people try and jump in and rodeo in that industry every once in a while. And then we end up cleaning up their mess at the end. It's like, hey, this isn't just like you showed up overnight and you're going to be good at this. And these people that spend this kind of money for this kind of stuff, they have very high expectations, and they notice everything. You're not getting anything past them. So if you throw in shitty welds or you don't blend something properly, they're going to notice. They're not as dumb as you think they are.
Right. At that price point, when you get to that caliber.
Yeah, they're buying a $13 million home. You think that happened by fucking accident?
Awesome. Well, I mean, at this point, I wanted to take a second. I mean, is there anything that, in closing that you wanted to go over? What did I miss?
Fuck, man, I don't know. This was. I don't get to talk like this on the podcast most of the time.
I was really excited. Yeah, I was really excited.
Yeah, but I mean, no, it's a big thing for me, man. It's just like get out there and be a part of it. Whether that's you're working for somebody else or if you're going to get involved in scholastic sports or you want to help out your neighbors or whatever it is. Just I feel like life is meant to be interacted with, and we're meant to be involved with one another. We're a social creature. Like, go do things without putting your phone in people's faces, Like, if you want to do something out of the kindness of your heart for people, go do it, You don't need recognition, like, any of that kind of shit. But I honestly believe that the vast majority of the success that we've had thus far is because we just get our hands dirty and we get involved in it, And I appreciate your approach to what we put out there like that. That helps me keep moving forward with it all.
You guys are doing great.
Yeah, but at the same time, dude, like I love what you're doing with this. Listen to you and McDuffie and Troy and shit like that. Like you're genuinely trying to find out people's stories, and then we get to drink whiskey while we're doing it.
Isn't that so cool?
What welder's going to turn that down?
I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, cool. So if we're going anywhere social media wise, where are we going to go to see any Battle Born Welding stuff?
Yeah. So we're on Instagram and Facebook at Battle Born Welding, and then I've got my personal stuff too, which is at Nate Newton 87. Anything for the podcast is going to be at the Tradesman Experience, and Josh has some big blown out exit speech that he does at the end of every episode, so you can find all the social medias for that after you listen to an episode. But please go listen to the Tradesman Experience. A good episode to listen to if you're just starting out would be a Daymaker. I always enjoy pushing people along to that one because it shows we're not just a bunch of tough and gruff assholes, like we actually have purpose in this world, and we try to make life better for everybody. So
you guys are doing a great job.
I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
With that, I wanted to thank everybody, for tuning in. Nate, thank you for coming here, and especially, the bringing some Breckenridge back from Breckenridge is badass. I appreciate that.
Well, now I know you live right around the corner.
Yeah,
from me,
I see you walking the dog and all that stuff. It's awesome. You're right here. So, so thank you for hanging out with us on the Bourbon and Ballistics podcast. Be sure to connect with us on social medias at Bourbon and Ballistics podcast. Also, share your thoughts on this episode. Please go check out the Tradesman Experience. It is life-changing. I mean, I don't care like we talked about, what point in your life you're at, what you're doing. Like, you can tailor all this stuff to a personal level. It's a blast to listen to you guys. Like I said, I try to get in as many episodes as I can a week. Eventually, I'm going to get caught up. And, Josh is posting all these reels from the guests and stuff like that. But we'll get there. So until next time, I am Joel Potter. I invite you to sit back, relax, pour yourself a glass. Let's talk some bourbon and ballistics. Have a good night.
Awesome, man.
Thank you, brother.
Hey, dude. Yeah, thank you. That was a lot of fun.
Across state lines, we